March 21st, 2000, first day of spring, 5 days after the NASDAQ crash and the release of NSYNC's No Strings Attached. 1 million copies on the first day, 2.4 million copies in the first week. This marked the high water mark. This is what's happened to music since then. Collapse of the sort of hit album. What's rising instead is this new form of distribution. iTunes, Rhapsody, the like, is a very different form of distribution. It's not all about a few bestsellers, it's about everything. We're now fragmented, spread across the entire curve of music. More choices, the market share of the networks, the big four networks, decline. As a result, the hits have a smaller share. Today's CSI, the #1 show, wouldn't have made the top 10 just 15 years ago. Dominance of the bestsellers is shrinking in every market we look at. The online services right now, Rhapsody is currently offering 1.5 million tracks. iTunes is offering 2 million tracks. Peer services like Kazaa have about 9 million tracks, massive compared to what's available in Walmart. But what's interesting is that 40% of Rhapsody's business is music not available in the largest bricks and mortar retailer in the land. And what that tells you is that half of the online music business is the obscure stuff that people thought wouldn't sell. The average Blockbuster has about 4,000 unique DVDs. Netflix now has 65,000. We've been seeing the world through a lens of hit blockbusters, and now for the first time we can see the long tail of niches. That's where all the action is. Small number of big earthquakes, a large number of small ones. Small number of big cities, a large number of small ones. It's weirdly universal. Now, on a log-log scale, power law is always a straight line, unless it's not. Hollywood box office over a 3-year period starts off fine, and then right around rank about 300, something horrible happens. They ran out of screens. There was supply, demand for those films. There just was a bottleneck. There was limited distribution. We have a company that has more efficient distribution. That's Netflix. Sure enough, Netflix's curve goes straight. So if you offer people 10 things, they will choose one of those 10 things. If you offer people 1 million things, some of them might still choose those 10. The rest is going to sort of spread around the other million. We now have these new marketplaces, and we can now measure the real shape of demand, and it turns out they're far more diverse than we've ever thought before. We've seen the world to these tiny number of blockbuster products. We've obscured all the other niche products out there. Hit-driven thinking leads to some fallacies. People with talent won't be displaced by 18 million people producing stuff they think will have appeal. This is YouTube. Streaming more than 100 million videos a day. Aside from grandma getting hit with a brick, mashups, animations, some of it is going to be extraordinarily popular, and it has now the capacity for it to get attention and accelerate it into hit-level popularity through mechanisms that we have no control over anymore. This is the world of the long tail. Mass amateurism phenomena, and this is our new competition. We're competing with an army of amateurs. We're competing with people who are working for free. None of them would make a full-page glossy ad in Wired. They don't work in newspapers. Billions and billions of these hyper-targeted keywords designed to focus just on one interest and not others. But it's also, so that's the long tail of advertising. It's also the long tail of advertisers. All those small companies, moms and pops or whatever, they're people who don't know you and you don't know them. They don't need to. They're going straight through a self-service model to Google, and now they've become global advertisers in a way they never could have before. So Google managed to scale down to the bottom of the market, and that turned out to be where all the action was. So this is a blog. It's run by a guy. He is part-time. He may or may not be doing it in his pajamas. Google does all the work for him. He now is an ad-driven publisher at virtually no effort. What's interesting is that you can see on the right-hand column, there's a column for direct advertising. You can contact him. You can email him or call him and ask to run an ad on his site, but nobody does because they don't have to. Because this self-service model that Google pioneered did it all for them. eBay, of course, is the long tail of not just hard goods. All those small moms and pops who didn't have access to a global market before, but now do. Consumers are looking to institutions less and to individuals more, driven by word of mouth, by what their peers think and what their peers recommend. Interesting power shift from sort of top-down messaging to bottoms-up messaging. What's interesting is that the voices they're listening to are not our voices. There may be voices that we can catalyze, but they're not us. They're very good at tuning us out unless we can sort of engage on their level. And we're looking at what this means for brands in particular. So what is a brand, really? If you know anything about DVD players, you'll probably go with Sony. Sony Premium is a certain amount that Sony can charge more than a comparable product simply by dint of the power of its brand. It's very easy to find out what's good, and so we're not willing to pay the same premium. I don't need to pay more for a Sony because I know that the cyber home is good enough. Google product, very quickly find out about it, is becoming so powerful. Consumers can become informed much more quickly. So this is a very important message for brands out there. So Microsoft as a company had a really bad image. Despite all Bill Gates's and Steve Ballmer's efforts to go out there, people just weren't listening. Either they didn't trust them or they weren't interested in hearing their message. And then they let their employees blog. And you now have more than 3,000 Microsoft bloggers. And now there's a new voice from Microsoft. It's not the one big institutional voice represented by two executives. For people in the IT industry whose opinion matters, Microsoft is now an engineer in the division working on the product that you're interested in. Microsoft has now revealed, the walls turned transparent, and it was revealed to not be two guys on top of a monolith. It was revealed to be thousands and thousands of smart people who were passionate about their products, who were human just like you. Microsoft employee who ran a blog called The Scobalizer, and Steve Ballmer. Google's measure of their celebrity, one employee blogger had about the same as the top executive of Microsoft. This is the power of individuals being allowed to speak and being able to kind of speak in a kind of authentic voice about the products, about their passions, about the company, and that's who people want to listen to more and more. These are sort of errors of hitism I would urge you to avoid. Don't confuse limited distribution with shared taste. Don't assume that just because one thing is popular, that more things couldn't be popular if only you could find ways for them to reach the market. As mainstream as any of us may be in most of our lives, in some part of your life, you are niche and you are fringe. You have a niche interest, and you can now pursue that niche interest as deep as it goes. As a result, one size fits one. What we're finding is that down there in the tail is some of the best stuff. It's not poor quality in the tail, although there is a lot of crap in the tail. But what you find is the stuff in the tail is of narrow interest, whereas the stuff up at the head is of broad interest. This is a big deal. What we're realizing is that often our interests are most satisfied down there in the niches, in the fringe stuff. And if you're most satisfied, you may be willing to buy more, you may pay more attention. In fact, by going down to the stuff that's the lower sellers, you may in fact be responding to the customers better. In bumper sticker form, small is the new big, and many is the new few.
Who would have believed in the closing years of the 20th century that our most popular media were being watched in a new way by a force that was quietly gathering strength. With blind confidence, we considered them our own, our audience. We learned to shape their habits, mold their desires, and give them the illusion of infinite choice. Yet from their side of the screen, with envious eyes, they studied us. And bit by bit, they learned and linked and drew their plans against us, wielding weapons we ourselves provided. And then we offered free choice, but all they heard was free. They pounced and they blogged, and they blew the house down. The world we knew was forever disintermediated, whatever that means. High inside our glass towers, our greatest minds prepare to respond.
Well, can't we just start blogging back at them?
Well, yeah, but where's the money in that?
Okay, thank you very much. We thought that in the 90s that everything was going to adopt the Dell model, a unit size of one and mass customization. Even Dell doesn't do the Dell model anymore. They've really. It just didn't work. Instead, what you find is rather than one company offering sort of ultimate diversity, what you have is access to all the companies. And so consumers can now get the diversity by shopping in one aggregator, rather than one company having to do it all.
So it was very interesting though.
Thank you.
Much.
Thanks for coming.